The manipulated paper gold price in US dollars is still below 1,750, still in a trading range due to the paper price smashes, with the auto program selling from trend traders and these high frequency trading algorithms that if the dollar gets strong or if yields rise, gold gets smashed. However, we are starting to see China and Russia start to step back into the market again with physical gold purchases. Recently, there was a tweet out from a well-respected market reporter that Russia plans to invest its sovereign wealth fund into physical gold, and definitely not GLD. One of those major reasons why, besides the fact that the gold price has been weak, so it is a good opportunity for people who are not short-sighted, who are not myopic, looking to accumulate more physical metal on dips, on weakness, which in my opinion is the best time to buy physical metal, is when the paper price is smashed a lot, on days when there is blood in the streets, on days when premiums are low. That is the best time to buy long-term, to accumulate more metal, to stack more metal for insurance, savings, and wealth preservation. But also because of the economic and political relations that the US government and the deep state and the military-industrial complex has with Russia. So things just keep getting worse, especially with the comments now that Joe Biden and his cronies and the deep state people have been making about Putin and Russia. So you have comments now from Russian officials, top diplomats from Russia, talking about reducing their dependence on the Western financial system, on the dollar, which normally means historically over the last 10 to 15 years that China and Russia will continue to accumulate even more physical gold. Now, China did not buy a lot of physical gold in 2020, according to any data I've looked at, but the amount of physical gold that China has bought starting in January has started to pick up again, especially in the private sector in China, but also looks like the government moves metal in through the Shanghai Gold Exchange, according to my source in China, that one of the ways the Chinese government stealthily moves physical metal into China, there's a number of different ways, is through the Shanghai Gold Exchange, where they say that a lot of the metal is for the private sector, but it's actually one of the ways the government moves the metal in. So now you're starting to see evidence that these large governments, they're voting with their dollars, they're voting with their trade surpluses, they're voting that they don't like the system, they don't like the U.S. government. Join the club. I mean, there's a lot of U.S. citizens that don't like the U.S. government either. And that physical demand will put a floor in the paper price in the not too distant future. The other part of the equation here again is the Fed's balance sheet, which is up another $20 billion just this past week. So the Fed's balance sheet, while it did not go up $113 billion in a single week like it did last week, it is still rising. So we're going to see big moves in the Fed's balance sheet. We're already over 7.7 trillion. We're headed towards 8 trillion soon. Once we get over 8 trillion, headed towards 9 trillion, the correction in gold should be over very shortly, and the rally in gold should start very soon. I suspect that once the Fed's balance sheet goes above 8 trillion, substantially above 8 trillion, that the bottom in gold will be here, and that the rally in gold will restart, as the Fed's balance sheet is clearly headed, just with basic math, to 9 trillion, 10 trillion very soon. And that might be the base case. It might be a lot higher than that with some of the crazy spending plans that politicians and bureaucrats here in DC have. The other major story I wanted to talk about was how the Mexican central bank, the Banco de Mexico, has suspended production of the famous Mexican silver Libertad coin, according to Mexican billionaire Hugo Salinas Price. Now, they're using the pandemic as an excuse, but they could also be having problems sourcing physical metal. I think this is similar to the US Mint situation, where unfortunately a lot of these government agencies that mint these beautiful silver coins, they're run so inefficiently, very similar here in the US to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and any excuse or screw up is just magnified. So you have government incompetence from politicians and bureaucrats mismanaging the production of silver in a number of different countries, and now I think Australia, Canada, the US, and now Mexico. And on top of that, you have supply problems in size. Even though I think Mexico is number one or number two in the entire world in annual silver production, it looks like the Banco de Mexico, Mexico's central bank, is still having problems sourcing physical silver to keep up with demand to make their sovereign silver coins. Crazy, huh?